Oh, looks like we're gonna have Will.
Hey, Todd, I don't think that people knew that it was going on today.
Well, I'm sure there was probably a little confusion. We talked about it Tuesday night at the session, and Jonathan was like, "Okay, if you want just Todd, because I'm traveling, Todd will do it, but just
This
know
is
it won't
for
be
our
AI stuff."
this is for our VIP session, I think, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Hold on. I don't think anybody knew what was going on because it's
Well, if they were in a Thrive session Tuesday night, they all kind
they
of
know.
voted on it.
Oh, okay. Well,
But I understand we're not writing code today, not with me.
no, we don't. It doesn't need to. I don't know if you've been in the group, but we've been talking a lot, so it definitely doesn't need to be code
Right.
based. We've been really talking about everything, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Um, but I just dropped it in the chat. And a few people said they were going to come, so maybe it's running late.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. How's that
Um,
project with you and Amy going?
it's taken some twists and turns because initially there was a service, there's an API that we were going to use, but they cost like $2 a call, which is really expensive, especially if you're going to use it as a lead magnet.
Hmm.
Like $2 a call, especially every time someone calls, it's just too much. Um, and so she's gotten down to like 90 cents. And they also wanted to do a whole year at once. And I was like, the only things I do for a year is like Netflix because it's cheaper. But other than that, I don't buy year subscriptions unless it's something I use a lot. So we're sort of working on it still, but it's still happening. Hey,
Yeah.
Imelda.
Hey, Imelda's on. I see you, Imelda.
Yeah.
Yellow is a really good color for you, Imelda. Just saying.
Hi guys, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Where are you?
Yeah, where are you?
Right now, I am getting ready to get out of the house to go to my son's school because we have a board meeting. I completely forgot this meeting. So
That's all right.
What what time zone are you in, Imelda?
in Shano, it's a small town in Wisconsin.
Oh, so it is still morning, or guess
No, it's
unless
not. It's 2 o'clock.
Yeah,
Wisconsin. Oh
come
yeah,
on.
it's 2 o'clock.
It's the US.
Um, So yeah,
Yeah.
I was just telling Todd that we've been having a lot of conversation in our little chat group.
Yes, and I love this group because we are so open with each other
Yeah.
that we share strategies that we would never share somewhere anywhere else. And that
Yeah,
is really great.
yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, the what's that chap? It goes so fast that like if I'm not on it for a day, there's like 30 messages in there.
At
And
least.
yeah, and I'm like, though I did see this one picture of you and your kids. Well, that was kind of
Yes.
cool.
Yeah, that was a Pixar. That was one of my favorite thing I've ever done on ChatGPT. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Who's Mary Meeky note
That
taking?
is her note taker. I'm not sure.
Oh, and who's Jennifer Williams? Oh, Jennifer. Okay.
There's Jennifer.
Hello.
Jennifer, are you the one in New York?
No, I'm from New York, but no, I'm in Maryland.
Oh, all right. Where in New York are you from?
Queens.
Queens. All right. I used to live in New Jersey, right over the bridge.
Okay.
Yeah. I've heard Queens is I mean, that's where Spider-Man's from. So, I mean, Queens has got to be the best.
Yeah, it's the best. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
where are you right now?
I'm in Maryland.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's rainy and cold over here.
Yeah,
It's
We,
it's
cold here in Wisconsin too.
Ah,
where are
I'm in
you at,
DC.
Will?
Cold. I'm in DC, so I'm probably Jennifer. Where are you? How far are you from like Washington D.C. proper?
yeah, just 20 minutes. I'm in Prince George's County.
Okay, yeah, like we're next door neighbors
You guys are
basically.
neighbors. Yeah.
Basically, and I think Janine is in Fairfax. Think
Okay.
I think she's in Virginia, if I remember correctly. Um,
So Jennifer, are you in the Try VIP group or in the mastermind?
The mastermind.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's enough of us here to have a party. Does anybody have any questions that are specific that I could answer for you guys? It cannot be AI related. I mean, we kind of talked about that Tuesday night. If
We
you'd like
won't
to
do that to
test
you.
something on me, feel free.
So I actually did, Todd. I tagged you in this one post, and it was like, I mean, there's so many messages. But it was basically a study that came out that talked about leadership qualities. They did a study on leadership. Let me put it in the chat so it's easier for you to read, and I'll put the paper in too. Basically, said like leadership skills translate over to basically AI leadership and stuff. So, is the chat working?
It should.
Can y'all open your chats?
Yeah.
Okay. You can. Why can't I? That's weird. Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay.
Oh, geez. I said hi World War III instead of hi Will. Sorry about that.
So here it is. And it was interesting. I thought it was an interesting because I was like, oh, it's a leadership sort of situation. And it was basically if you can lead people, you can also lead AI, but if you can't, it's gonna they correlated the two.
Hmm.
I know it's a little bit of the AI realm, but you're here, so we got to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Social dynamics and complex systems. Interesting. Well, I do know just from a little bit of the work that I've done with Jonathan and getting into ChatGPT myself, having very clear expectations and directives when you give a prompt helps the information that you get back from it. And leaders often have to have very clear directives and ways of communicating with people. So I could see where there would be a correlation there. It was interesting. I was just having a conversation with somebody the other day about hard skills and soft skills. And like my daughter is graduating from high school next month, which is kind of freaking me out. It's my oldest, and she's not sure what she wants to do with her life. She's like, I could be a CIA agent, or I could be a doula, or I could, she's just bouncing all over the place. And she's like,
totally different thing.
right, I know, right? Yeah, she's just everywhere. Like we talked to an army recruiter and we talked to a college, and it's like, whatever. Okay, she's my daughter. I don't know. So we're talking about this stuff, and she's like, Dad, I have no hard skills. Like I know how to run a cash register at the bookstore that I work at, but like I don't have any hard skills. And I said, yeah, but what about your soft skills? And she's like, well, what are those? I was like, well, like dealing with hard customers or people who are complaining or things like that, navigating people. And she's like, well, usually I get she works at a Christian bookstore. And so she gets a lot of elderly people who come in with coupons that are like 6 months old that don't work anymore. And she's got to explain, well, that coupon expired 6 months ago and you can't use it. And she's like, usually they give me all those people because I'm good at talking to them. And I was like, those are soft skills, sweetheart. Those are absolutely soft skills. And I said, if you do anything in management or leadership or climb the ladder in any organization that you're in, it's going to be soft skills. You're not going to be able to have a degree in it necessarily, but those are the things that are really going to drive organizations and people, especially if you're dealing with other people. So, and I said, look at me, like people first coaching and consulting, that is 100% soft skills.
Yeah.
So
I've been in organizations with terrible leaders with zero people skills. I'm like, how did you get this job? Like, how did you get this job as a manager and a leader? And I guess it's
Right.
because of maybe their output they had, but they like this one person, he got there like in a month, the department was in, we were like at HR. Like, how does a whole department in 1 month go to HR about one person? So yes, please let her know it's definitely in demand
yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
Can I suggest something for your daughter?
Please.
There is a job scan. It's a AI job search application, and you can take the assessment. It's pretty deep, and it can help you figure out. For those who don't know where they want to go, it can help you figure out your strengths and your weak spots and all the stuff according to the market today and where the trends is going.
That's interesting because we've talked about that as well. Like for a minute, I mean, Jennifer, you're going to laugh at this because you laughed at the other thing, but she was like, maybe I should be a mechanic. Like everybody always needs their car fixed. But like my daughter is like 5'7" and looks like this. And I'm like, sweetheart, you can get somebody to help you put the tires on. Like, if you know what to do. That's what you want to do, sweetheart. Let's go. I'll find you some girl mechanics to mentor you and whatever. And so she is literally all over the board. And Imelda, her high school had like a test day where they sat them down and had them take a I forget what it's called, but it's some sort of skills assessment where it's like, okay, you'd be a great firefighter. Okay, you'd be a great nurse and that sort of thing. But yeah, she's
If
feeling a
I
bit
may.
more. Yeah, she's feeling a bit more pressure now because all of her friends have plans for the fall and she doesn't. So yeah, this is going to be good. I wrote that down. Is that the name of it? Is it the job
A job
search
scan.
scan? Job
A
scan.
job scan, yeah. And what you can do that is simpler than that. That I did with my niece, and it was spot on. Turn on ChatGPT and have her have a talk with ChatGPT.
Okay.
So tell ChatGPT, my daughter is graduating from high school. She doesn't know what she wants to do. So I need you to brainstorm with her to discover what are her strengths, what are her hard skill and soft skills, and help her figure out where, according to the trends today in the marketplace and where the trend is going for the next 10 years, where will she be happy? Go ahead deep into her personality, really give it the free stuff to really go deep and have a talk to her. You can also do that with Gemini. I love the voices in Gemini. It's really personal. I don't know. She became my friend. So you can also do that in Gemini, and it will really get in the nitty gritty of her personality and her skills and what she likes. And sometimes you will even discover stuff about your daughter that you
Oh
didn't know
yeah.
about her,
Yeah.
and you'll be like, oh my God. So try it with Gemini or ChatGPT. ChatGPT, my son loves ChatGPT voice. I prefer Gemini voice when it comes to that. So you choose. But since Gemini is really into connected to Google right away, I think
Hmm.
it will do a better job to really help her figure that out and let us know.
Yeah, I
I'm
will.
pretty sure after that conversation, she will know exactly where she wants to go. And ask it to give her three choices. And after that, you can ask Gemini to go and search and bring you a report about those three suggestions.
Okay.
How much they are the salaries, how much, what are the trends, what are the goods. Really get your report on those three suggestions so she can choose and make it 8 grade level or 5 grade level so she can really understand, even if you're not there to read it for her.
Okay. Yeah, that
Has
that sounds interesting. Go ahead, Jennifer.
she thought about just taking a gap year and like just trying to find her sense of self and who she is? I'm a therapist, so
Yeah.
I would go away from AI and say, why don't you just find like what you feel like? Who are you?
Yeah. That's what my wife and I have been encouraging her to do. It's like, I think in today's day and age, like an 18-year-old kid can't go to a loan or can't go to a bank and get $100,000 loan, but they can go to a college and get $100,000 loan. And it's like,
Yeah.
ah, I just feel like we're trying to force these kids and I knew what I wanted to be, and then I ended up not being that, which is kind of funny. But it's like, yeah, we've encouraged her to do that. Like, sweetheart, you don't have to have like half of your friends who are going to like Alabama, Georgia Tech, U of M, half of them are going to be back at Christmas and never go back
Right.
because
Right.
they're going to go through culture shock. Like, oh my gosh, I didn't know what I was getting into. So we're not pressuring her to do anything. She was like, I really want to be a missionary, but I don't think mom's going to go for that because I'll be on the other side of the world. And I'm like, I'll talk to mom. Don't worry about it. But like, sweetheart, if that's really what you want to do, she doesn't want to be stuck in a cubicle. She wants to serve people in some way, shape, or form. So we've got that narrowed down a little bit.
Like corpse or, just your year. Yeah.
Yeah. But then my wife is mama bear, like, you're going to send my daughter where? I'm the adventurous one. I'm like, yeah, let's go talk to the Army recruiter. And my wife is like, I hope you enjoy sleeping in the garage for the next week.
I love that.
I taught high school for 10 years, and this was 10 years, more than 10 years ago. And I remember the amount of stress those kids were under, like the pressure. It wasn't just like the pressure that was on them from like the school and stuff. It was the pressure they put on themselves, and they saw their peers like
Mm,
going to the Harvards and the Yales, and they're like, because a lot of those kids were sort of well-off kids, and so like their lives were already dialed, and not in a good way. Their mom was a doctor and their dad is a doctor, so it's like, well, you're probably going to be a doctor, even though they don't want to be a doctor, or a lawyer or something. And so it was like a lot of stress on these kids, and so much that the girls' school that I worked at said you cannot ask the girls where they're going to school, applying to school, because it stresses them out, which was
mm.
fine. Boys didn't really care; they didn't voice it. But like, I just remember what enormous pressure these kids were under. This was like in 2008, 7, 8. They just
Yeah.
were. I just never forgot that they were just under so much pressure. And I can only imagine what it is now with like TikTok and all the social media, where all the people are telling you from across the world what they're doing versus like everyone in your little social circle.
Yeah.
So
What my daughter's high school does now is down senior hallway, they have all the posters of the major colleges that all the kids are going to, right? So we're in Michigan, U of M and Michigan State are big ones. There's a girl who's going to go to Alabama, Roll Tide, Crimson, all that. And then at the very end of the hallway, they have workforce.
Oh
Wow.
boy.
And it's like, all the kids who are in auto shop and, like the voc ed programs where they're learning to be carpenters and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but sweetheart, those kids are going to be making $60,000 a year in 6 months.
easy.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
your friend who's going to Alabama is going to be 60 grand in debt, and we'll see if she survives because she's already proven she's a party girl. So it's like, I don't know. I think we're okay. I really think we're okay. Like you're going to get a full-time job. You're going to do something. You're going to figure something out, get a couple part-time jobs. Yeah. But don't, don't stress about this. And Jeff, I think I'm not sorry, Jeff, Will, you said it. The social pressure is huge. And it's like, these kids were like, oh, I'm going to University of Hawaii and I'm going to go to UC Berkeley and all these big name colleges. And now it's getting to be May, and all the colleges that they're really going to, it's like community college, community college, community college. It's like,
Yeah.
sweetheart, it's all talk. Don't stress. Don't stress.
Yeah, and you know what? I am officially I am a pastoral counselor, and I did years into political science
Mm-hmm.
and international negotiation.
Well, that makes sense for you. You're
And look at
multilingual.
me
Yeah,
today.
absolutely.
Look at me today. I'm not doing that. Today, I am an AI strategist and business efficiency expert. And I go in businesses and figure out where the system is leaking and why you are losing money, so that we can fix it and build an AI system that is sustainable on the very long term. So that's why I bring them. And every time I bring it in church, AI in church, people are like, oh my God, she's back with AI again. Yeah, because AI can save you a lot of time. And the studies has proven that people are having more success with AI in counseling than with a counselor, because with AI, they don't have to hide anything.
Yeah.
But with a counselor, they will always choose to say what they want the counselor to hear, which is completely different. And that's why even my son, when we are working, the way he interacts with me when it's with the custom GPT that I built for him for tutoring, it's not the same thing. He has better result with the custom GPT than with me or my husband, because there is not that pressure, there is not
Yeah.
that judgment. So when you do the exercise with her, let her talk with it, and you will see that she will be more open than she is with you guys, because there is no judgment, there is no nothing, and it just wows me.
Yeah, I mean, she's on spring break right now. When we're done with this call, I'll probably go upstairs and say, "Hey, sweetheart, I got something for you. Where'd this come from, Imelda? Just trust me."
Okay. I
Yeah.
take full responsibility.
Yeah, yeah. Don't worry, she doesn't know where you're at. So, Jennifer, I'd be interested in your opinion on that. Do you find that when you're dealing with some of your clients that there are things that you find out that they didn't tell you that they probably should have told you 3, 4 months ago or something?
Yeah, all the time. I always tell people the hardest thing about therapy is being honest because
Mm,
you don't want to tell people what, they're really inside. Because if you say it out loud, it's true. And so, so it's definitely stuff that once they feel more comfortable, a year or two, 5 years later,
mm.
they'll tell me.
Yeah, yeah. I just saw this new card game that came out. I didn't have a chance to look into it yet, but it's called the Go Deeper card game. And
Mhm.
it's like conversation starters for groups or whatever. And like the first card you pull is like, who should you forgive? Oh man.
Mhm.
Because you know that's going to get a lie.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're going to lie right off.
So,
My dog.
yeah. Yeah. So it's definitely, yeah, I've heard a lot of people trying to talk to ChatGPT. My clients, they say they'll talk to ChatGPT in between sessions because they just feel like they can get what they need at that time. But I always feel like that emotional, the human response, it's almost like you lose that with AI.
Yeah.
And sometimes people will say things, and I know you're not telling the truth because I can see it on your face. And so now it's really there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jennifer,
Yeah.
there was a study that was done recently that was said like physicians plus AI versus AI, and the AI was better at this medical decision making than physicians who are using AI. And so
Mm.
I've talked with my physician friends and PT friends, and they were like, well, yes, depends on the context they were using it as. And I was like, so we kind of got a little deeper into it that, it has to do with one has to do with biases. And but then there's the part with physicians and therapists, like you will never be able to get that human connection
Mhm.
with them. So you're missing that. And then the other part is like obviously, so I guess one day maybe robots can operate on you if you watch Star Wars, but still, there's still a component of like, but then they talked about like how doctors were getting angry because the AI was basically taking their intellectual property
Uh-huh.
and making it into something that like corporations were using, and they were
Mhm.
getting mad about it. And I was
Right.
like, well, you're not really mad at AI, you're mad about like how your providers are organized because
Right.
you that's already out there. Medical decision making isn't copyrighted, but they were feeling that way. I was like, because they were mad about compensation. Like you
Right.
pay
Right.
us because
Right.
it's like, well, you're mad about the insurance companies, not AI. So
Uh-huh.
let's go ahead and place that where it should be. But it was interesting about therapists, like you can never get that one-on-one human connection. And so there's probably pros and cons to using that
Right.
system. But I can see where they were like, yeah, I want to talk to my AI therapist. And you're like,
Yeah. Yeah. It's the same thing
Yeah.
with therapists where they feel like, okay, you write your notes using like all these AI systems that they're training, like different, like big tech is like training, bots on like therapist notes and how they write notes and interactions. But I'm like, people will always need that emotional connection that you'll never get from using a computer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a meme on Facebook the other day that says your future doctor is using AI to get through medical school. Maybe it's time to take your medical decisions into your own hands.
Ah,
And I was like,
uh,
that's that's funny because I do have a dark sense of humor at times. And I was like, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, okay, yeah.
you'd be surprised. I worked in the ER, like how many times the docs would come back and like get on their phones because they were
Mhm.
like, it's impossible for us to know every medication out there. And like there was one doctor, there was like this particular procedure that was drilling a PICC line into the actual bone. And she like popped her phone out in the middle of it, and she was like, okay, so here's a tutorial video. And she's like, okay. And then she like did it. But I was like, holy shit, this doctor just like in the actual like space. But that's what you have to do because you can't remember all of those things at once. And so I get it. It's interesting. Like they was like, it's impossible for us to know dosing and up to date and guidelines. And I was like, so AI can help, but also there's a part where like I would never want an AI to be like, hey, you have cancer. You're like, wait a minute.
Right.
This is not an Amazon order. Like, this is my life. I want a real person to just, say that to me. So I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
think humans are going to get, I don't know. People are very nervous about like, I'm on LinkedIn. People go, either they like love it or they hate it. They either love it or they hate it. And it's like, it's the in between is sort of like, and you're like, yeah, but it's happening regardless if we fight it or not.
Yeah.
So,
I think this should be like the Will Show because you were
no,
a high school teacher. You worked in an ER. Um, I'm just fascinated about your life, man. You've done a lot of different things. That sounds really interesting.
tell your daughter to talk to me. Like, I was actually trained for classical singer. Like, that's what I was.
Really?
And so then I was like auditioning and all that stuff. I was like, I became a teacher and I'm like, I don't want to, it's tough. Like
What did
auditioning
you
as a
teach?
music.
Okay.
So like teaching that's like, but still like it's a grueling. So once you're a singer, like you can, and you perform in front of lots of people, you're like, yeah, I don't really have a lot of nerves. But I was really actually training to be a like singer, but I just couldn't do the audition stuff. It was too much.
You were the
Uh,
one guy who didn't make it into One Direction, aren't you?
that God, that one note I missed. But yes, it's been a but like I mean, I tell people like most people are gonna change their careers a few times. There's very people I know who like have like one job, unless like a doctor who've been
Hmm.
training for like 10, 15 years. But like even software engineers are like, screw this. I don't want to do this no more. I want to be a salesperson now. And they didn't do.
Yep.
Um, so no, I would be a boring show, Jeff. I mean Todd.
What'd you do in the ER?
So I trained scribes. Basically, this was before really AI. Doctors were like taking a lot of time to write their notes, and notes are tied, and Jennifer knows this, notes are tied to insurance billing.
Hmm.
So the better notes that they have, the more they could claim one for insurance purposes and make money, make more money. So the scribes were there to like write all the medical notes for the doctor and put into the system. And it made their lives easier. They loved it. But then AI came along and listening on watches, and they popped and they were training. So right before I left, we were training AI on how to write notes, and that's
Mhm.
how I knew that was the end of the line for scribe,
Mm.
Mhm.
or at least as they were. So yes, it was fun. I learned a lot. I saw a lot in the ER. I saw everything from
I
like
bet. In
like
DC?
like clipping nails or like ingrown nails to like the worst you could
I
possibly
bet.
in DC. Yes.
Yeah, if
Um,
you're in DC for sure.
it was a lot, but I'm happy I did it. I would tell one of my sons, if you want to be a doctor, if they're like ADHD and they like that pace, because every medical profession, every medical specialty has their own like personality, then do it. But like you have to love that constant motion of an ER. If you
Mm,
don't love it, anyway,
yeah.
let's talk about Jeff. Jeff's more interesting. He's doing cloud migration. That's way interesting.
Yeah, that's better than having 35 jobs in my life, right?
Exactly.
Question for you, Todd.
Yes, go for it.
Because I would like to do more like public speaking
Hmm.
and like do TED Talks and be able to do keynote speeches. So in my head, I'm amazing. Like I'm great. Everything's perfect.
You're
But
amazing to us too, Jennifer.
Absolutely.
thank you. But in real life, I feel like I don't capture the energy. Like I see some people and they just speak. Like how do you do that? Do you have to like learn or is it just natural or
The color red.
what is that?
The color red. I have a friend who I met through a Facebook group, and he is in kind of like Imelda. He's in biblical counseling, and he is an introvert. And we got to talking, and we set up a Zoom call, and just he and I were talking. And he was like, Todd, how are you the way that you are? Like you're just out there with everything. Somebody asks you a question, you give them an honest answer. You're excited about everything. Like, what is that about you? And I said, honestly, I let go. I just I don't apologize for my personality, and I let people feel the weight of it and do with it what they need to do. And that sounds like a heavy statement, but I know that my personality is too much for some people. Like there was our former church secretary. I think I drove her out. One of my was married to like my best friend, and he and I were together all the time. We played guitar together. We played on a worship team together at church, and I was too much for her. Like she could not handle me being around, and they ended up going to a different church or whatever. Not a big deal. But I was not going to. And let me take that back. I apologized for who I was then, and this is over a decade ago. Then I realized, why am I suppressing who I believe God made me to be just naturally to accommodate somebody else who can't handle me because of what I would say may be their own deficiencies. Now, I was always kind, respectful, but like if we're at a party together, I'm not the guy who has to, be on the table with a lampshade on my head screaming and everybody's watching me. But like, you will know where I'm at in a room because I'm going to be having a conversation with somebody. I'm going to be laughing. I'm an encourager. I like to laugh at other people's jokes. I don't need to be the center of attention, but I just let my personality do what my personality does. And I did restrain that for a long time. And I don't really know. So let me get back to the color red. So I asked he asked me, he said, what's your favorite color that would describe you? And I'd say, green or blue, because I like those colors. And he said, I would describe myself as red, but I can't be red. And I was like, well, why can't you be the color red? And he says, because nobody knows I'm the color red. I'm the wallflower. I'm quiet. I'm reserved. I'm an introvert. I hang back. I go to a party. I get, my punch and I sit off in the corner and I talk to the one or two people that I know, and I do not talk with anybody that I don't know. He's like, but I see people like you and I watch you. And I'm like, living vicariously through you. I don't necessarily want to be you, but it's like, if I could do that. And then I ended up relating this conversation to my wife. My wife is an introvert, and she's like, yeah, sweetheart, in high school, that's exactly what drew me to you. Was you were the guy with all the hair, believe it or not, that was running around, having fun, telling jokes. Hey, who wants to jump off the roof? You were the first one to jump off the roof. Like, yeah, because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to have an adventure and have fun. And she could not do that within herself. So she just would sit back and watch me. And she's like, and that's what drew me to you, because you are what I can't be. And that draws me in. So all of that to say, let go, Jennifer. Just let go. Like, be who you are if nobody else was around. And once I allowed myself that, because like Will, I was in the schools. I started off as a 6th grade teacher, and then I moved into administration, and I was a new teacher coach, and had to have this very professional front end where, and behind that, it's like an episode of Scooby-Doo in my head. And I think over the past couple months, you guys have seen that in my personality. I like to joke around and have fun. And some people say, Todd, if you're in a professional setting, that's probably not the most appropriate thing to do. But the other thing that it allows me is I am zero respecter of anybody's title. And not in a disrespectful way. I have been around a lot of high power people, doctors, lawyers, socially high power people. And the one thing that they all wish people would do with them is treat them normally.
Right.
Like, don't treat me like a doctor. Just treat me like whoever. And I'm like, all right, well, get off your butt and go do something. That's what I'm doing. That's what you asked me to do. And so that's what once I started kind of living my life that way, especially if I find, now I see you have a bunch of letters behind your name, Jennifer, so I'm not like picking on you. But if there's somebody I know who has a bunch of letters behind their name, especially in church, like clergy. Like my father was a pastor, so I've seen behind the curtain. So I'll go to churches and meet pastors, and oh yes, I'm Pastor so and so. I'm Bishop so and so, and I'm like, yeah. Why did you park crooked in the parking lot, dude? Like, did you see? Like, seriously? Did your kid drive you in, or what's going on? And they'll kind of take aback, like, who, what? All right, but that's my way of like breaking through that crust.
Mhm.
And that's my way of making instant relationship with people because I'm the guy who's going to talk to you just like we've known each other forever,
Yeah.
regardless of who you are. So I did that with a bishop one time, and he was like, "Who is Todd? Like, where did this?" And it was funny because he was bishop of a black church. I'm a white guy, so there was a little bit of that, like, who is this little white guy talking to me like that? And my pastor, who was a longtime parishioner of his, was like, "That's Todd." He's like, "All right," and then I just kept making fun of him, and we ended up being great friends. But all of that to say, be you.
Okay.
I hate to quote the movie Frozen, but as my daughter sneaks past, she was just in the Frozen play. Let it go. Absolutely. Let your personality be what your personality is. And if there are people who do not want that, great. That is great information. Thank you. They don't have to take it.
Thank you.
Can I share
Please, Imelda, go
my
for it.
experience? From experience, I was ordained in 2019, and I couldn't put on my everywhere I went, I couldn't put Prophetess Imelda because I was not ready for that. I was not ready for the judgment. I was not ready for the load that comes with it. And I would go by Evangelist Imelda. And for years, until this year, I am the one who will tell you whatever you need to hear. If it's blue, it's blue. If it's gray, it's gray. And I used to call it French. French people don't sugarcoat anything, they just say it. But the truth is that I'm like that. It's not because I'm French, it's because I'm like that. I don't sugarcoat. I am kind, but I am not nice. And it took me a lot of time to accept who I am fully.
Love is not always nice.
And understand that it is okay the way I am, and there is nobody who is like me. It took me a lot of time to embrace everything, to embrace the church, embrace AI, embrace that I love tech, and that nobody can change anything about it. Not even my husband, because in Africa, you're not supposed to be a woman is not supposed to be the wisest at the table. I don't want to be the wisest, but I'm going to share what I know. And mostly they didn't know tech. So of course I looked like the smartest at the table and people didn't like it. But I came to a point in my life where I say, if you do not like who I am, it's because we're not supposed to interact. We're not supposed to be with each other. Because if you are supposed to interact with me, you will respect who I am as I will respect who you are. I will make space for who you are, like you will make space for who I am. But if we cannot find that ground, it won't going to work. And as a speaker, I had to come to the agreement that, you know what, this is my fee. And say the fee out loud and say,
Why isn't that
it's
funny that
okay.
when we
That's
start
fine.
speaking, we want to be like, my fee is
Yeah,
we're
like,
afraid of it. We're afraid of
who
it.
is going to pay me that? Yeah, this I know the kind of knowledge that I'm bringing to the table, and I had to sit down and say, who am I truly? Because I am sick and tired of always, downgrading what I know, downgrading or becoming smaller when I go to rooms where we have a lot of people. And I used to say I am an introvert, but even though I am an introvert, I bring a lot of knowledge to the table. When I get my clients, I know the kind of transformation I bring into their businesses.
Mm.
So I said, you know what? Even the freebies, I'm not doing any free nothing. It's free 99. I'm not there anymore. It's dead. If you want to work with me, you know what it takes. You can pay. We're good with that. I'm going there and do my magic. If you cannot, bye bye.
Yeah.
I'm in peace with that. And when someone called me, I think it was 2 weeks ago, to ask me to come talk, it was in a church. And I said, my fee is $7,000. And he was like, he almost choked. And I said, I have a payment plan. It's not because you are a church that I'm going to give you a discount, because I'm going to give you the same knowledge. I'm going to dig into your systems. I'm going to train your people. So I cannot do it for lower than that. Can we go ahead and do business? And he was like, I'm like, okay, you do your job. When you're ready to be serious, you come back to me, because this is not true that I am going to compromise for you for free. We're not doing that anymore. So really stand. And this morning was the first time in my prayer group, because I'm running a program every morning at 4 a.m. to 6. And the first time this morning, I put Prophetess Imelda, and they were all screaming. They were like, oh my God, what happened? I'm like, yeah, that was the last drop. And that was the last thing that was missing to fully standing in who I am in God. Because owning who you are, trusting who you are, respecting and showing up as who you are is the way you worship also God. You worship the one who created you, and you honor him for everything he gave you. So it's just what I wanted to share.
Thank you. Thank
Jennifer,
you.
that was 100% for you.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thanks, Imelda.
Yeah. So I guess, Jennifer, the question for you is going to be, it sounds like we all believe in you.
Yeah.
Do you believe in you?
Yeah, I do. I do. Until I have to get in front of the room. But
Is it just the public speaking? Is it just being in front of the people? Or
yeah, just feeling like I'm doing a good job in front of the people. So like I know I can do it. And I told you in my head it's perfect. But just knowing that, okay, I can do this and be just as amazing as the next person.
yeah.
So
How many times do you rehearse?
do I rehearse? Probably a couple times, like in my head.
You have to. So as a singer, like we can sing the songs in our head, we can play the notes in our head on the piano, but like you don't really know how it is until, first of all, like as a singer, I still have them. I have video. I mean, I have like tapes, audio tapes of voice lessons, right? Which is like the most painful. I don't know if you, but like you're in the front of a teacher and they're like correcting every single note that you're making. Like if you make, and they'll go back and they'll really dig into you. And so like, and then your homework is to go back and listen to the actual tape, because then you can hear what you really sound like versus what you hear out of what you think you're hearing. And like it's sort of like or like they also used to video us when we were doing productions, like this is what you look like on stage.
Mm-hmm.
And a good director will give you some good notes, but they really want to make sure that you can see how you're doing, and so you can then change the way you're, or you don't. I mean, our way I used to practice was like in front of a mirror singing, like I was like, on the, but again, that's another way I had to rehearse. And that's why it was easy for me to transition into like speaking, because like I had done it for so long. But if you don't know what you look and sound like, I think that could cause some anxiety. But after a while, I just like, this is what I got.
Yeah.
I'm not Pavarotti, but this is what you're paying for. So here you go. And it worked, and people hired me. So but like the recording yourself is probably, even if you do it on Zoom, it makes a huge difference.
Or
No, I mean,
just on your phone. Go ahead, Jeff.
He's absolutely right. And I mean, there's a bunch of different things, and I'm not sure what's going to work best for you, Jennifer. One thing I've done in the past when I had to give a speech to a conference, and it was a lot larger crowd than I was used to speaking to. You can, depending how large your TV is, there are YouTube videos custom of a crowd. You are a TED Talk speaker. Here is your crowd watching you. And you can have line of sight vision. You can have below you. You can have several thousand people in the crowd. So, and it was weird because that flipped it around for me. I always used to use a TV, but I would have my back to the TV or be right next to it. And I would give the speech to the rest of the room and use the TV as my prop, as my screen, if there were slides or something like that. But to actually turn around and face the TV with your cell phone or a camera on a little tripod right there recording you the whole time, absolutely critique yourself. Don't hate yourself. Critique yourself. Laugh at yourself. It's okay. We all look the same exact to ourselves.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's Todd or Jonathan or me or Will or anybody in the world. When you see yourself, when you hear yourself, you're like, do I really sound like that? You have to do it a lot to get in your own skin and get comfortable with that. But everybody that talks to you, your voice is absolutely perfectly wonderful. I mean, nobody's going to have a problem with it, and you know your content. And if you think you might freeze up in the middle of a speech, remember your bullet points. Keep it to basics, because once you get 30 seconds of speaking, you are going to flow through the whole thing.
Yeah.
Once you start the momentum, it's that snowball effect that we just keep talking about.
Yeah. Yep. I was just making a new VSL on my phone before we jumped on this call, and I did one perfect. And then I went back and I watched it and I was like, man, I wouldn't hire that guy. He never smiles.
Right.
So then I re-recorded the same thing and I smiled through the whole thing. And I was like, oh, wow, that's a good looking dude. I'd hire him.
Exactly.
You know, and it was just that much, just a smile. And so, yeah, seeing yourself on camera, like, I lead worship at our church once a month, and I go back and I watch the live stream and I'm like, oh yeah, I made a little joke before that song. I shouldn't have done that. That was stupid. Okay. Not making jokes before songs anymore. Okay.
One thing with speaking of performing, and I've viewed, so you will, there's someone said you will never be perfect in a performance. That's like anything, but you think you will be, but like, there's no 100% performances. And so I have literally seen, like, Michael Jackson, remember when he did the moonwalk? That was a mistake that he did. Came out like you would never know. And a real performer we were like, oh, a choreographer was like, oh, he messed up, but he caught himself. There was a video of Beyonce at Coachella. I don't know if you saw it, but she had a costume malfunction where I guess they used like a tape on women so they won't bust out of their costumes, and it came apart. And so for the whole show, she's like pulling up her costume, and you couldn't know unless you really saw it and you look for it, but you're like, she didn't miss a note because she's so rehearsed. She's done it so many times, but like the whole thing is like, even for Beyonce, no perfect performances. And like when I listened to that, I was like, oh yeah, then I definitely can hit a wrong note, or hopefully you don't hit in the high notes. When you can hit like, but for the most part, there's never going to be a perfect performance. And when I did that when I'm like 30s or something, it really like laid off the pressure I put on myself to be like awesome at a performance, because there's no such thing. Pavarotti made mistakes. Beyonce makes mistakes. Tina Turner made mistakes. They all do. And so I was like, little old me can surely give myself some grace to make a mistake during a performance.
Yeah. And Will, I bet you would agree with this statement. True professionals are not mistake free, but they recover quickly.
Oh, I mean, go watch the performance of her Beyonce in Coachella. Like, you will see is toward the very end when she's dancing with her sister and a little bit before, but you see her having to continuously like move, and like one of the dancers actually like told her, and she was like, uh-oh, but you can see it, because she would look down, but she would always keep singing. It was like a master class in like how to be like a professional performer. And people talk about Beyonce, but I was like, that would have stopped so many other people, but it did not stop her.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was lucky enough to be a trumpet player when I was a kid, and everything from I was given the fun in 7th grade because I didn't have a good enough trumpet player in the high school to do all the trumpet leads. My high school always did Handel's Messiah all the way through every Christmas. We have to do it 2 or 3 times because people will come from miles and miles around to come see it. And, the first time I did it, the trumpet shall sound solo is a really big piece in there. And it's with one singer and a trumpet player. And the conductor's going and he goes through the whole intro bars and gets to where I'm supposed to start playing. And luckily he had it so I started playing before the singer did. And when I didn't, and I got beat red really quick, and he just took the entire orchestra through another bar. He just repeated that last bar, and then I picked up and went with it, and I was like, phew, man, let me tell you. But just realizing, yeah, the people, I don't know. I mean, Will's talking a lot about musicians, and it's true. When you get done a concert that you paid money to go to, you don't remember the mistake. You remember having a great time at that concert. You remember everything you got. I mean, so I'm sure some people still talk about the mistake, but that's their choice in life, you know?
Well, and I think it's also important to remember, Jeff, you raise a really good point about the mistakes. Like there is so much grace on the part of your audience. I think we hold ourselves to a really high standard, but like our audience is so forgiving. Like my family went to a thing at the zoo last night. There's a Chinese company that has these glowing lanterns. Are you in Michigan too, Jeff?
Not, but they have that in Philadelphia every year.
Okay. Yeah.
Also.
So it rotates. So we went to that last night and they had some Chinese performers who were going to do a dance. Well, the tech guy behind couldn't get the song started. And there's this lady, full costume. She's standing in her pose for like 5 minutes. And then we're all kind of like, well, this kind of is awkward. But then the music started and she did her thing and we all clapped and we forgot. There's a lot of grace, in your audience, especially when I'm singing.
I was at a performance with the Kennedy Center, I think, and Celine Dion was singing. It was live, so this was even worse. And her mic didn't work. You're like, who didn't check Celine Dion's mic? Like, what happened? And like, they start the piano, she starts singing, nothing came out. And like, she didn't get flustered. She just like sort of was there. And the producer actually walked out with the mic, gave it to her, and she picked up and she said some really little funny little line. And the audience sort of laughed because they all knew it was a big mistake. But still, like she recovered and sang like there was never an issue. She didn't even think about it. But like there was a moment where I know that people like her have rehearsed hundreds of times. And so they're able to like make those adjustments and make those little funny jokes and make it they spin it into something that's funny or like I mean this was national TV. I'm sure you can still see it on YouTube and I was like, "Holy shit." Excuse my language, but she did it and it was like it's because she had done it so many times. Again,
Will,
y'all can do that, anybody can.
On that note, Will, and Jennifer, this one's for you too. If you go back to President Trump's inauguration, Carrie Underwood was supposed to sing the national anthem at the inauguration, and the music didn't work.
Ooh.
And she's standing there, she's looking over at the sound guy, looking over, and then somebody's like, whatever. And Carrie Underwood says, "Can I just sing it a cappella?"
Yeah.
And I was like, hold on. Like how do you say that politely? The intestinal fortitude that a singer has to have on a stage like that to go without music, pure a cappella, like that's the confidence. That's the confidence right there. So when I saw that moment, I was just like, I forgot all about everything else. I was like, oh my goodness. And so I take inspiration from certain moments like that, where it's like, if I have to speak in front of a group of people, or if like I did a webinar yesterday and there was some people on there who I knew were company owners and they're listening to little old Todd talk about leadership. And I was like, but they're asking questions because they're struggling and they need some help. And it's like, man, I'm going to give it to you. Man, I'm going to give it to you a cappella, however you need it. Like, I know I got good stuff. And I think that really kind of speaks to the heart of it is like, do you really believe that you got good stuff to give? Because if you do, let it flow. Let it flow. I mean, I'm not Tony Robbins, but I got people calling me to need help with their businesses or whatever because they're struggling or whatever. And it's, yeah, I think about like Tony Robbins and all the big people in all of our different industries and stuff. are they really better than us, or do they just have more marketing dollars?
Some of them are better.
Bite your tongue, Will. No, they're not.
I know, but for the most part, no.
Yeah.
Honestly, like seriously, I've seen a whole bunch of amazing performances, and only a dozen have been like, oh, this person was like, I've seen Jordan shoot a 3-pointer from like, and it just looks like magic. I've seen Barishnikov dance, which was like, I was like, what in the hell is going on? And I've heard Parvati sing live. Then I heard a whole bunch of other people. Very few people are at that apex of that.
Mhm.
I don't know if I don't watch Tony Robbins, but for the most part, yeah, no, they're not.
Yeah.
Did we
Yeah.
give you enough, Jennifer? She's like, they beat this horse.
I get
Most
it.
of them has big bucks for the marketing. That's why.
They
Yeah, because I was watching Mel Robbins and Jay Shetty. I'm like, the only difference is they're actually doing it. I'm like, well, every single day. And so I get so frustrated when I see these people like making millions. And I'm like, I'm doing this for like pennies. And so that's why I'm like, okay, I really gotta step my game up because there's no difference. They just do it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, Jennifer, you're always the one giving counsel to other people. So today we're giving you the
Thank
counsel.
you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I need that.
But apparently we all need to hang out with Will because he does some cool stuff.
He knows cool people.
Knows Jordan, Celine Dion.
I don't know them. I don't.
Pavarotti.
I
Okay,
only
that's
saw
not what I
Jordan
heard. I
play.
heard you were at their house, Will.
Yeah. No. I saw him play and I was like, you like, I get the hype. I get it. It was like he was magic, man. I was like, wow. So yeah, it's pretty, once you see that, you're like, yeah, that person's amazing. So
Yeah. Yep. There are always once in a lifetime talents that are out there. And you're like, and I go through and they're probably different for every person too. You know, there are certain, there's a new singer songwriter that's kind of breaking onto the scene named Steven Wilson Jr. And he's kind of a country Western guy, but his music is different. It's very, very different. He does a cover of Stand By Me, which gives me chills even thinking about it. But yeah, those are those once in a lifetime talents, and they come around, and yeah, those people are magic. They absolutely are. But magic doesn't make the world go round. It's people like you and me who put our nose to the grindstone every single day. We make the world go round. And so we just do it in smaller circles. And that's all right, because I don't want to be famous. I want to be able to go to the mall and have nobody care that I'm walking past them. Want to go to Burger King and get a Whopper and just sit by myself sometimes.
Yes, that's true. It's just mind business.
Yeah. I mean, you think about like Tom Cruise, or like my family does movie series. So we're working through the Mission Impossible movie series with my daughters because like they have no idea. And we talked about that one night. Like Tom Cruise really kind of lives in a prison because he can't go anywhere where there's public. Like he can't go to the mall. He can't go to a restaurant unless he buys it out for the evening. He can't go see his own movies unless it's a private screening. He can't go to the beach. He can't go to the water park. He can't go anywhere. He's really kind of trapped in his own Tom Cruise prison. And it's like, man, you couldn't pay me enough money to live like that. I want to go to Walmart and buy some ketchup and walk out, you know? So anyways, have we covered enough today, or does anybody else have anything? My daughters are just upstairs preparing for my youngest 13th birthday party that's happening tomorrow. 2 teenage girls in the same house. Jennifer, I will be calling you.
Fun. Lots of fun.
I'll be like, help me, Jennifer.
We were 4 girls in the house, so I get it.
Oh, man. Mm-mm.
That was World War III.
Yeah. Will, how far apart are your sons?
they're both twins. They're twins.
Oh, they're twins. Oh,
They're one.
you know that movie Twister?
Oh,
Yeah, part 3 is going to come out in your living room next year, probably.
it's they're just learning to walk right now, which
Ooh.
is amazing. at the same time, I'm like, yeah, there's way too much stuff in here a baby can so it's happening right now. They're confined to their playpen, but that's not gonna work for too much longer. No, but I know that as teenage boys, I'm gonna try to get a bigger house that just has like a boy room. Just go in there and clean up after, maybe, I guess. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Wait till they're 4 and they figure out how to jump off the couch by putting the couch cushions on the floor.
Well, my daughter is 3.
Yeah, those are my kids. They're 2 of my boys are 2 and 5, and they take off the couch cushions. The little one tackles the big one all the time. I'm just like, I don't want to go to the ER today. I tell them I'm not going.
Yeah, I keep my kids alive. That's my mission every day, keeping them alive.
Okay.
I can only imagine. No.
Yeah.
I'm not ready quite yet.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, anything else for the good of the cause today? Any questions?
No, thank you, Todd, for showing up for us.
Absolutely. This was fun. I know this was kind of off the rails a little bit, but it was fun. We learned so much about Will, and we learned about Jennifer, and we learned that Imelda has stepped into her calling.
Yes.
Stepped into it, the confidence, because there is an expectation there, and now you are ready for that. So that's awesome. And Jeff played the trumpet.
Thanks for jumping in, Todd.
Thank you.
All right. You guys have a
Thank
great
you, y'all.
weekend.
Bye.
So
See ya.
much, guys. Good to see everybody.
All right.
Bye-bye.